Testing. Check, mic check, 1, 2. Test. There you go. What's up, Facebook? Great morning to you all. Let's go be great today. Let me just make sure we're good on LinkedIn, what's happening? Check. LinkedIn, what's going on? Test. There you go. What's up, Facebook? So LinkedIn is good. Great morning. And let me just check YouTube real quick, and then we'll get this started. You see what we're talking about today, folks. Very important principle that I will be diving into in a second. Let me just do all my mic checks. 1, 2, 1, 2. Everybody in the place to be. Mic check. All my mic checks. All right, YouTube, we're good. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, we are all ready to go. I go live, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I do go live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook Monday through Friday. This is your first time tuning into my work, first time in my world. Let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new. My name, Aswan Crookshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. And what I do, what I created, what I'm all about is taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners so that you have a team, a group of employees, a staff that moves as cohesively, as efficiently, and has the eagerness of a championship high school or youth football team. That's what we do over here in a nutshell. And before we get started on today's topic, what we're going to be talking about today is learning to become slow to anger. All right, learning. I have a ton of experience in this. All right, learning to become slow to anger, and the reason I'm discussing this is because about a little less than a week ago, there was a situation that I went through that made me incredibly angry, but I learned not to react too harshly in that moment. And now a week later, the situation has become a blessing. The situation has become something that's in positive. The situation has become something in which I'm better off than I was a week ago. We'll just say it like that. I don't want to speak too much details about it publicly, but it is a situation in which, I learned, and the concept and the idea and the principle of taking your time, right? Taking your time before you react, taking your time before you let your ego get the best of you, taking your time before you decide that you're going to just, fly off the handle whenever somebody tells you something about yourself. Taking your time will allow you to be in a better situation than you were yesterday. That is the important key element to what we're going to be discussing today. So before I get too wheeled in on the topic, let me just go through a couple announcements here. First things first, boxing lessons, free boxing lessons. If you are interested, if you live in the West Palm Beach area and you are interested in free boxing lessons, please do contact me. Hit the QR code that you see right there on the screen. Do them every 2 weeks. The next one, I believe, is going to be March 1st. We're going to be kicking off March in the right way, the right way. Next thing. As I said previously, to intro, as I introduce myself, as I always do when I introduce myself, I'm here to serve you business owners. I'm here to serve you business owners. Go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. Be sure to get the guide. I created a 10-step process that you can be implementing right now that will allow you to move forward in your business and make it so people really walk into the organization day in and day out with a hunger, and they approach it like the great Coach Harbaugh says, they approach every day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. All right. And also be sure to tap into the Patreon link as well. It's patreon.com/Oz144. We have something for everybody there. And I do have another announcement, and then we're going to get into today's Move Swiftly thought. Let me just pull it up here really quick. brand new channel. It's a brand new channel that recently started. No. Film sessions. All right. What up? All right. So let me just show it to you guys real quick as we move forward. I got to make sure I'm remembering to do that. Making sure I'm remembering to make all my announcements before I get too wheeled into the topic. So finally, Film Session Saturday. Be sure to go subscribe. If you want a breakdown of the game of football, a full breakdown of the game, not just what the mainstream media does, not just, what the quarterback is all about. That's what the mainstream media is all about. They're just going to tell you what the quarterback did, tell you what the head coach did. They're going to evaluate literally 2 positions on the field, maybe a running back here and there. But if you want the full breakdown, meaning what the DBs were in, what did the D line do, what did the offensive line do, where was the tight end line up, what did the linebacker do, how did the DN set the edge or not set the edge, what was it about the play that actually allowed the play to be successful? If you want that full breakdown, then I need you to go over and subscribe to Film Session Saturday. Film Session Saturday. We're breaking out all of the major college football games. We're getting it all out as I continue to put myself in the mix to becoming a play-by-play announcer for college football for college football games this 2025 fall season. So again, it's right there. Film Session Saturday. Simply subscribe to it. It is free, no cost whatsoever on your end. And we're doing this as we head into the football season going into 2025. All right. So before I get started on today's topic, let me just play today's Move Swiftly thought this morning that I recorded, and we will go from there. Let's get it. Let's get it. As Warren Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving your perspective on teamwork, which you will not get anywhere else. All right day today. 8 miles, could have did 10. My body, a bathroom situation that I was dealing with, a little stomach issue I was dealing with on the way. So I had to cut it when it comes to listening to your body, but we'll make up for it sometime either tomorrow or Saturday. We'll get back and we'll get a half marathon in between either tomorrow or Saturday. Better believe it. Where mentality is, but overall, not a horrible day, not the worst day. But as far as today's Move Swiftly thought, we're going to pick it right back up from what I was talking about 2 days ago in terms of the top 5 ways to sell your book. All right. And just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a parent. She is a mother of 2, and she has a son and a daughter. And I was talking to her about her daughter's dance practice. And because I teach them, I was noticing how put together, how much definition her legs are getting, and how strong she's looking, and just how much just being a dancer is developing her body. You start to see the results pretty much. But she also has a son who plays football. And, my second book is a book titled Make Your Move, where I document and I show how if you're a football player, one of the things that you should be doing is taking on some dance lessons, some ballet lessons, something that's going to improve your flexibility, something that's going to make you better. And I made the point in the book, and I made the point to her yesterday, the same point I made in the book, which is that if I could go back and do it again as a football player, the one thing, or pretty much one of the things I would ask for my parents is to, spend money on dance lessons and boxing lessons, because I know it would have been able to translate into me being a better player. I would have probably been able to play both ways. I probably would have been able to take on blocks better and do a whole lot of more on the football field that would have prolonged my career, made my career go longer than it actually did. And I'm bringing all this to your attention because when you have a book, another thing, like as I was talking, I was thinking about Tuesday's episode, and I was like, that's one thing I got to jot down. All right, one thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about how to sell your book. And the thing is, you got to make it a part of the conversation. You got to make sure your book and the things that you put in the book are part of a larger conversation. So when the topic does come up, you have certain things that are ready and prepared for it. All right. I'm having this conversation, right? It's the mid so late enough. Pretty much we might as well go ahead and call it the end. Having this conversation at the end of February when football off seasons are now getting going, training programs are going, guys are looking, not just guys, but parents and coaches, all sorts of people are looking for the best ways to train their athletes, train their players for next season. And you got to have the things that are prepared and know what season you're in and know exactly who would buy your book, and how to develop the bulk orders, how to make sure you're leveraging the speaking gigs, all the things I put in the article. Everything, all of this is relative because you're making it a part of the conversation. So that, I guess this will sort of be the add-on to what I put out there earlier this week, which is when it comes to selling your book, you have to make sure it's a part of the conversation. You got to make sure you're implementing and using it and some of the things that are in the book and utilizing some of the things that are in the book within just conversation so that people know it's relevant. Understand this, and I'll close you out with this concept. Understand that selling your book is actually going to be a lifetime job. You have to do it every single day of your life, and it's through how you speak, it's through what you're all about, it's through who you're actually looking to serve, right? All that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into everything I'm doing, it's makeyourmove.com. That's MAKEYAMOVE.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Check it out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.
Can we start? Let's do it.
I was playing around a little bit with the views there because I'm still learning, still getting my technology game right. But on that point, that leads me into the importance of what we're going to be discussing today, right? Where you have to learn to become very slow to be angry, all right? You have to learn to take your time. The Bible talks about being slow to anger. In the actual verse, I have it pulled up here. I'll show you. James 1:19. Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. For anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Listen to me very closely. What I just expressed in the book that I was discussing, these marketing opportunities don't come because if I'm just angry at the fact that the book sales aren't where I want it to be, right? If I'm not happy about the book sales that day, and I'm not listening for conversation, listening for opportunities to explain why the book is important, then I don't know how to take advantage of these opportunities. This is what he means. This is what the verse is talking about when we're saying quick to hear when the opportunity is there, but you got to be slow to speak and you got to be slow to anger. This is a skill. This is something that needs to be learned over time because human nature tells us to be angry right away. Human nature makes it so we want to react. Our egos are so wired to react in an angry fashion whenever somebody comes at us or somebody is telling us about ourselves and telling us how we work. Our human nature makes it so we are on the defensive because of the fact that that's what sells. That's what moves the needle. Nowadays, whether it is mainstream media or whether it's the YouTube or whether it's social media, whatever kind of media, or even if it's within your own family, within your own friends, the anger of a person, the constant back and forth. Let's say you are out about, having a good time or doing something with friends or family, whatever, and some argument breaks out with somebody that you don't even know who it is. Most folks, all right, are going to sit back and be interested and listen to that argument. It's going to be a distraction. In fact, there was a time where I remember I was doing a camp. This is back when I was living in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I was doing a camp with another trainer. He was doing just a free camp free camp for the kids, doing no charge whatsoever. Remember, I went and helped him out and did some things. He was, he's obviously helping with his training business, but he was not looking for any money, looking for or come up or anything. He was doing well enough as a trainer in which he can offer this free camp to this group of kids, a group of high school kids. And then there was a fight that broke out right in the middle of, like, as he was ending off the camp and sending the kids home. There was a fight that broke out, like, right there, and guys are fighting and all that kind of stuff. And that's what drew interest. I remember there was a time when I was playing, and there were several times actually when I was playing where the coaches started getting into it and they started swinging. Understand the reason that this skill, learning to become slow to anger, learning that is something that's going to give you the leverage that you need as a business owner. The reason you have got to learn that skill is because you're going to be able to make decisions with a much clearer head, and you're going to be able to listen. So let's get into some of the ways in which we can learn this skill, because now hopefully I've clarified for you as to why it's important that you have this skill. But most of the time, pretty much all the time, I should say, I could easily say all the time, but for factual, right, to be factual, I'll just use the word most of the time, this is something that needs to be learned. All right. In fact, it is all the time. Forget it. I'm just going to say it's all the time, because this skill needs to be learned. Even if you came up in a home where you learn how to become slow to anger and you learn the skill of being very patient and taking your time, when you step out into the real world, when you step out into the world and you see the things that move the needle, you see the kinds of things that sell, you see the things that are going to get attention from others. When you see these things, you start to realize, look, this is a learned behavior, and this is something I need to be practicing on every single day. It's one of the reasons I've become such a ferocious runner over the past couple of years, is because running allows me, more than just getting in shape, it allows me to relax, take everything in that I had to deal with the previous day. It allows me to clear my head. And as you can see, I put a video out every day off that mentality, from the mentality of a person who just finished a run. So I become such a ferocious reader. Reading allows me to slow my mind down, allows me to highlight, allows me to just develop a perspective and gain a perspective that I can't gain if I'm so focused and so angry about a situation. All right. Now, as far as learning this skill, all right, learning this skill it has to come from your elders. All right. When I say your elders, I don't necessarily mean your elders in terms of actual biological relationships. All right. I'll give you an example of what I mean. I learned how to become slow to anger by watching my football coaches, two football coaches in particular, right? Played for two football programs. One was Carson Newman College, a Division II school in East Jefferson City, Tennessee. And I finished my playing career playing for Stony Brook University in Long Island, New York. Right. My two head coaches when I was in college, one was the late Ken Sparks, who passed away maybe about a decade or so ago, and Chuck Priori. Ken Sparks was at Carson Newman. Chuck Priori was at Stony Brook, and last year was his first year that he wasn't coaching. He had just got let go the year before last, and this year Coach Kosh has stepped in at Stony Brook. Which, by the way, I gotta figure out a way to make a trip out there this spring and talk to them boys a little bit. I'm anxious. Congratulations! He actually became the coach of the year, Coach Kosh for Stony Brook. They had a really, really good season, so it was cool to see the program back to winning again, or at least back to some winning ways. So we got a little embarrassing there to know that Coach P, he finished off with an 0-10 season, and that wasn't indicative of where the program came from. The program came from the Big South and was able to come into the strongest conference in the FCS, and that should be his legacy. Unfortunately, because he finished off with that 0-10 record, that's always going to be something that he has to carry. But at the end of the day, man, look, the program has grown a lot from the time I actually went there. So that's another important aspect of football that I'll probably have to tackle in another later episode. But what I want to talk to you guys today about is how those two men taught me the importance of being slow to anger, and then how it actually came out in my personality. All right. I was always very shy, reserved young man. I was always very shy and, respected authority. Grew up in a 2-parent household. I was the guy, 2-parent household with Caribbean parents. So anybody that has Caribbean parents and you get in the habit of talking back, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. They will weed that talking back bullshit out of you in just a second. You won't have to worry about disciplinary issues if you're growing up in that structured environment like I had. So every single day, I wake up grateful to have my mother and father, to have had my mother and father in my life in the same house, and to really teach me some discipline, teach me some values, teach me some things that I still carry. I carry with me every single day of my life, and more so, teach me some things that allowed me to be receptive of what the coaches that I'm going to be talking about in a second, what they did. All right. It wasn't about anything special that Coach Sparks was saying, wasn't anything special that Coach P was saying, wasn't anything special that Coach Malloy was saying, who was my high school coach. All right. None of the coaches that I had at White Oak. There was nothing that they were saying, folks. Nothing that they were saying that made them great coaches. It was all about what they were doing. It was all about how they conducted themselves. It was all about how they carried themselves. It was all about how they showed up every single day. Every single day. It was all about their actions. There's no rah-rah coach. There's no coach out there that just has great sayings. All right. Let me make sure I say that a little more clearly. There's no coach out there that's going to say something magical and then all of a sudden you guys are going to go win a game. No, the coach is going to be doing things every single day that the players mirror, the players become that, and that's what's going to allow them to win football games. They take on the personality of the actions of their coach. That's how they grow. The players are still kids. The students are kids, and they show up ready to learn. And based on the teacher or the coach, whatever it is you want to call them, the actions of these men or women are going to be what allows this team to gel together, put together a solid unit, and go out and win. All right. It's the same way with you as a business owner. As a business owner, you got to be the person that is modeling the behavior that you want to see in your staff. You got to be modeling it. You can't just be talking it. You can't be talking it. You can't be talking it. You can't be talking it. Got it? You got to be modeling this behavior with your actions and allow that model behavior to be something that takes your organization to the next level. All right. So first example, when it comes to Coach Sparks, this was, man, and listen, I have lived through quite a few culture shocks, especially when I got to high school. Being at a school like Good Counsel was incredibly challenging for me because I didn't really fit in with those inner circles. And I had come from the public school system, didn't have an uncle that went there, a brother that went there, or anything like that. It's my first time, first experience in a Catholic school environment that I was there because of the football program, right? So I had gone through that. And then my first year in college at Carson Newman, this was another culture shock, right? Another culture shock because I was 7 hours away from home, away from Maryland, in East Jefferson City, Tennessee. This is a Division II program that is bringing in like 180 guys for camp. And, they're taking in so many, taking so many players. It was a second, they would often, one of the things I actually talk about in this book right here, Transferring B1, is the fact that it was a second chance school. Carson Newman was referred to as a second chance school. And it was just a lot to deal with within that couple weeks in which I was there. So the great thing is that Coach Sparks was a man of God. Any individual that has ever had the pleasure of meeting the late Coach Ken Sparks will tell you the same exact thing. He was a man of God. I haven't met every single coach in the world, but I think it's safe to say that if there was any coach, if there was some sort of a ranking for coaches who did an incredible job in connecting the game of football to connecting the word of God, I'm pretty sure he would easily top that list. All right. And you guys can tell me if I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure anybody that's met Ken Sparks, the late Ken Sparks, will tell you, look, if there's a coach that did the best job, if we're having a conversation about the coach who did the best job in regards to how you connect the game to the word of God, how you connect the game to Christian values, how you connect the game to the principles that are taught when you become a Christian, when you become loyal, when you become someone that is out there trying to do the right thing, never going to be perfect, but always trying to do when it comes to coaches who do a great job in allowing the players to see that, Ken Sparks will top that list, right? So seeing that I had just come from a Catholic school and, religion really wasn't pushed in my household. I was always taught, to do the right thing and to be a person of some substance, but we were never like forced to go to church every Sunday. I was curious because I had these like stereotypes about Christians. I had these stereotypes about people who went to church, about how, they probably soft. They don't know about no real football. They're not tough enough. They're not, typical stereotypical things that I was thinking as an 18-year-old kid going to Carson Newman, like this coach probably doesn't even, how is he going to be a football coach, but a Christian at the same time? How is he going to be like going to church and be, supposed to be like this football coach? And I'm used to really rough football coaches at this point. When I say rough, I mean guys that'll cuss you out, just MF you up and down. That's what I was used to, and that's what I thought coaching was for a long time. I didn't get that depth, didn't get that perspective, right? And then I got to Carson Newman, and I saw the way Coach Sparks handled that element, that part of the conversation. So when you're talking football, all right, you're talking football, the mentality that you got to have when it comes to football is you're a good person. For the most part, people who play the game of football, they're good guys. Off the field, good guys. We do what we got to do. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Yes, sir, no, sir type people. Shake your hand. Good dudes, manners, go out, do a lot of philanthropy, doing the right thing. But when you get on the football field, you get angry. When you get on the football field, if you approach the football field without a little bit of anger, without having some testosterone, without having a little something in you that you want to go out and absolutely rip people apart, if you don't got that trigger when you step on the football field, you are toast. You're going to get the boot. You will not last. So I was really curious in regards to how Coach Sparks was going to coach that element, being that he's such a solid Christian dude, being that he's such a good person, that the core of him, when he addressed us the day before we put pads on, man, my life changed. My life changed because you saw a man who was able to do it without a set of cursing. He was able to kind of calmly talk to us and say, hey, guys, the pads are going on. When I say the pads are going on, I'm talking about shoulder pads, helmet, full gear. We're going to be in full gear soon. And the live orange bullets are going to start flying. He said the live orange, that was the term he used. The live orange bullets are going to start flying. And when he was talking about orange bullets, we at Carson Newman, those were our colors. We were, especially being I was a defensive guy, so we had the orange jerseys and orange pants and all that. So when he said that, I was like, okay, that's how it works. Learning to become slow to anger. Again, we don't walk around all day like that. We don't walk around all day like that, like we got pads on and we're ready to hit somebody. But when the time comes, then it's okay to let some of that anger out. And that's what you got to teach in your business. You got to not only teach it, but you got to model it. There's going to be some things that anger you over and over. And just the day in itself. I mean, there may be something you saw on TV, maybe some politics, maybe some family issues, maybe something is going on. There are going to be things that anger you, but you got to be really slow to react to that and wait for the right time to react to it. That's what he was saying. And I'll close you. I'll get to the next coach, right? I just have to tell this story. I have to tell this story because it exemplifies everything I'm talking about, in that moment, in terms of what Coach Sparks was referring to when he spoke on this concept of live orange bullets, right? So it was Wilmo. We call him Wilmo. Wilmo was a linebacker with me. He was a middle linebacker with me, and he was in my group when I was in when I was at Carson Newman. And when I tell you Wilmo is short for William Moreland or something like that, but I used to call him Wilmo. Big Wilmo. So Wilmo was a preacher. Wilmo was a preacher, middle linebacker, but he was studying to become a preacher. He would always break us down, and he would give the prayer, and he would, talk to us. Like if you were speaking to Wilmo, you would get a word, no matter what time of day, you was getting a word from the Bible. You was getting something. You was getting no word. You're getting prayed for something, because Wilmo was just that kind of cat. He was just that kind of player, and you could see why he was at Carson Newman, because he was studying to get into the ministry and things of that nature. So we were doing this drill called Bull of the Ring, or like, I think it's called Bull in the Ring, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the name of the drill. But basically you had it to where it was a linebacker right here, just chopping his feet. And then you have the running backs that are just coming in, like, so somebody's behind the linebacker, and you're here chopping your feet. And then the coach is pointing to a running back. And as soon as he points to the running back comes and blocks him, and the lineback's like, bah! And boom, bah! Boom, bah! We just taking on hits. So Wilmo, again, remember, Preacher Man Wilmo is taking on these blocks, and you start to see the trigger. He's like, come on, motherfucker. He said, come on, motherfucker. Boom, 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 boom. And he takes it on. He ends the drill by picking up a running back and then slamming him on the ground. And say, and all the linebackers start going, woo. And then he went back to his normal self. He went back to being Preacher Wilmo at that point. And I'm bringing all that up because that, just watching him do it, I remember having that conversation with him after like the next, it was like the next breakfast or something. The next day I was having that conversation where I'm like, man, Wilmo, Preacher Wilmo. Okay, yeah, you taught me something, and we ended up laughing about it and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's important for you to understand that when you read this title, I'm not telling you not to become angry. I'm not telling you not to have enthusiasm. I'm not telling you not to be someone that's really ferocious and wants great energy, but you got to know when to channel it. You got to know when to channel it and know when to put it into play and when it's necessary. All right. So that was the first. I need some water after that. You guys kind of got me in the mode right there. I got no more. I had a little flashback there, but let me come back. I'm coming back. That was like one of my first real lessons in terms of what being slow to anger meant. And then when I got to Stony Brook, I kind of saw it in the opposite, if that makes sense. I saw it in the opposite because you had Coach Ken Sparks from Carson Newman, and then you had Chuck Priori, two completely different mentalities, like two completely different worldviews, two people who were just completely different in terms of a coaching philosophy. Again, Coach Sparks is all about using the Bible to teach his players how to do this and using the Bible as a means towards teaching the game of life, teaching the game of football. He was all about no cussing. None of the F-bombs were flying at practice or anything like that. Now, Coach P, completely different. I mean, every other sentence was a F, U, B, this, S. I mean, just absolutely MFing dudes. Like he cussed so much that he was MFing dudes when they did something good. The time he was MFing guys on like some positive vibe stuff. And he was just one of the most intense, energetic little dictators that you will ever meet. All right. Coach P was that kind of coach where anybody, I would say this all the time, that you could walk into a Stony Brook practice and at no point would you not know who the head coach is. It was Coach P who was running around, energetic, cussing guys out. And the craziest part is he spent most of his time with the O-line. So you had these big, giant offensive linemen and this little 5'8" guy who's cussing them out left and right. I mean, just absolutely giving them the business, right? So that's what, when I got to Stony Brook, I was used to. This was like 2 weeks, because I got there, it was camp. And it was 2 weeks straight of seeing that and being around that and listening to that and, just constant energy, constant cussing people out. It was intense. And then we got to game day. All right. This is important for you guys to stay with me on this. We got to game day. One of my roles, because when I got there, I wasn't eligible to play in any games because I transferred in, and there was all sorts of, this was before the transfer portal. So there was all sorts of drama when it comes to the transfer portal, and I had to do this and do that, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, my role during game days was to just chart down the plays. This is why I tell people I kind of started my coaching career when I got there. But my role was to chart the plays and write them down. As a D, I was playing linebacker and all that. So as I was doing that, I was noticing how the coaches changed on game days. The coaches changed on game days, and they were incredibly calm. It was all calm. It was like, it's all business. I'm not going to be yelling at y'all. Y'all heard enough. Just go out, play the game. And again, bringing this up, I want to bring these concepts up because as I was learning their modeled behavior, certain things in me, certain conversations that I was having with fellow teammates, it was starting to come out in me that I didn't even realize how much I was learning from these guys by simply watching them. All right. Give you an example, a great story. And I'll close you guys out with this story because it was an argument that, and this is, again, I like to argue. So a lot of people who play with me know this for a fact. I got into arguments all the time. That was just I was doing, debate desk, debate first take, all that kind of stuff. I was basically that guy that was always debating in some way, shape, form, or fashion. This was true throughout my entire school life. It's no secret as to why I'm doing the work I'm doing now, because love to debate. I'm all about that, right? So it was another one of those debates that I was going at it with a teammate of mine. His name, shout out, it was Fenn. It was great. It was Fenn. I just saw the other day that he's the head strength coach at our Bowling Green now. So it was him, and I remember we were going at it about the N-word. Yeah, it was the N-word. So it was towards the end of my time at Stony Brook. I was in my second year last semester, and I was getting ready to graduate and move on and all that kind of stuff. And I was helping out in the offices at that point. I was helping with the coaches and doing some stuff in the spring. And again, just building my perspective, building up my coaching resume and all that stuff. So it was, he just happened to be there. I don't know what he did, but he happened to drop, he's black. All right. Chris Fenelon is black. So he just happened to drop the N-bomb. He said the N-word. I'm not going to say it here, but he did drop the N-bomb. And there was another black girl there who goes, "Oh, well, I don't think you should be saying it." And then he goes, I try not to. And then even though, again, I would technically, I agree with them. I don't think anybody should be saying it per se. Me, myself, I don't really say it that often these days. If I do say it, it's very rarely will you ever hear me actually drop the N-bomb as a black man myself. But just to start an argument, because this is what I did. Unfortunately, I just enjoyed arguing back then. I was just part of the philosophy major in me. Is I said, well, why not? Why don't you feel comfortable dropping the N-bomb as a black man? Oh man, I'm thinking of my college self now. That's why I'm laughing. But I was like, why don't you feel comfortable? And then we ended up arguing. So it turned into an argument of me, him, and the other black girl that was there. And as we're going back and forth, Chris is telling the girl, he goes, "Look, so-and-so, please don't argue with him." So he's trying to stop her because he knows me mentally. At this point, we had gone at it on so many different things. And I grew up a Redskins fan. He's a Giants fan, and all sorts of things that we used to argue about. He's from New York. I'm from Maryland. So argued about who got the best basketball players, argued about who had, the better team between the Redskins and Giants, and all sorts of things we would go back and forth about, right? That's just what it was when you were in the locker. He was one of my best friends on the team. So, we start arguing when he makes that statement. He goes, "Oh, well, I try not to use the N-bomb." And then even though, again, I technically agree with him, I don't think anybody should be using the word like that. If you're going to use it, maybe use it here and there, but not something that you're saying it over and over and over again. Or I mean, if it's a song or something that you're singing, but not something that you're just using in casual conversation when you're developing as a professional, especially at that age. So we're going at it, and he tries to stop the poor girl from arguing with me because at this point he had been through it. He goes, "Look, so don't do it. I'm trying to tell you this. I'm not arguing with this man no more." So anyway, I'd say I did a good job in pulling them both into the argument because, again, that's just something I enjoy. I know I shouldn't enjoy it as much as I do, but I actually do. So both of them ended up getting pulled into my side of the argument, which in theory, if you think about it, really wasn't an argument per se. I was just trying to give them some perspective and make conversation, which is ultimately really what it really was and what it's really all about. So anyway, I brought up the scenario. About, what if a player goes and calls you the N-word while you're playing, right? And his whole mood changed. Because we're going back and forth about this, about if us as Black people should be saying the N-word like that. And I'm like, okay, let me put it to you like this. This was my side of it. I said, yo, what if you're on the field and some white player on the other team calls you the N-word? And he goes, oh, fuck his shit up. Listen, he got so angry at the idea. He got so angry at the idea I put in his head about a white player calling him the N-word while we're on the field. He goes, "Oh, get shit off." So bad. Because it hit it hit a different chord with him. And the next point that I made was like, you see how quick you becoming so angry? What if now that player does it and you forget your responsibility to go block somebody else, and then he comes screaming, and then the guy that you're going out to hit because he called you that word, you go block him, and that's not your responsibility, and then somebody else comes and makes a big tackle on the play because we were both actually fullbacks at the time, and that completely ruins the play because you were so quick to get angry at that one dude who called you the N-word on the field, and now you blow your responsibility. So as when I said that, and again, even though I agreed with what the argument, what we were arguing about was, even though I agreed and I actually was agreeing with them in this point, I still needed to make the point that, hey, you got to be slow to get angry. You got to be someone that actually develops some self-control so you don't make these mistakes. Now, did this insight just hit me overnight because I get it? No, the insight hit me because of the coaches that I previously had. Everything I said to you at the beginning of or throughout this entire episode, from having Coach Sparks and having that team that taught us the word and taught us how to connect the Bible to the game of football, to seeing Coach P being a certain guy during practice, to him about becoming a nice, calm guy when it was game time. All the things that I learned from the previous coaches I had, all of this stuff over time allowed me to kind of be in that instinctual argument between two people and pull a scenario to say, hey, that's how you should do it. And this, I'm going to close you guys out with that concept so you understand as a business owner, when things come up, and they will come up, they will come up, and they will make you incredibly angry, upset, annoyed. Somebody's going to be late. Traffic is going to not be where it needs to be. You're not going to get certain orders where you need on time. Whoever it is, so it's a customer or a client, they're going to cancel whatever it is they said they were going to do. This person said they were going to buy this, and there are all sorts of things that are going to come up. You got to make sure you're learning to listen to everything and then make the most informed decision that you need to make. But you cannot make these decisions when you're emotionally charged, when you're so angry and you're so knee deep and you're so blinded with anger that you're not able to make a quality decision. And that's all you need to, that's what you need to be making day in and day out. So that's all I got for you guys today. Again, the main website to check out to dive deeper into everything I'm doing, it's makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. Also, be sure to tap in with me on the Patreon link. That's patreon.com/as144. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.